Hello friends, foes, other watchers on the internet, my name is Matt, you're watching Hogwash Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about how to get your imagination going if you need to come up with side quests, or maybe just the next event in the main plot in an RPG. And I've got three options here. I've got tables, a deck of cards, and some strange looking dice. We'll start with the tables though. What tables are just lists that you have made. We have the numbers 1 through 20 on this list, and we have the numbers 1 through 10 on this list. And basically the idea is you roll 2 dice with, on this one it would be a d20, and on this it would be a d10. And those two results, you would line those up. So if I rolled a 10 on this one, then that would be a priest. And then if I rolled a 4, that would be asks you for money. So that would be like the players are maybe walking into town and a priest greets them with an alms box. And what happens after that? I don't know. But that's just a interaction that they can have that's very basic. And I've got other things on here that are more drastic, like Casts Darkness. Cast Darkness is a magic spell that not all priests can cast. And I also have a farmer or a milkmaid on here. So maybe these are characters that are not what they appear to be. But this table randomizes and gets your mind going. And they're very easy to make. Just think of basic things like on this side just a person, and on this side just an event. Next we'll move on to the deck of playing cards, and these are just normal cards. They're just like your average playing cards. So what I do with these is on a scale of 2 to ace, that is the extreme of this event. Ace being a huge event that could change the kingdom, if not the world, and 2 would be something that's relatively common, something like finding a lost dog or something like that. But the suit also says something about what kind of task they are. For instance, diamonds are more related to wealth. Now this is a 7 of diamonds, so this isn't like earth-shatteringly important, but it could be something that, you know, like a rich merchant is trying to negotiate with merchants that have disowned him, and he needs your help. You know, this isn't the easiest thing to do, but it could be interesting. Yeah, let's try another one, and hope to goodness it's not a diamond. Okay, here we go. Spades. Spades are labor related. So basically, if you've got a spade, and this is a 5, that's relatively medium in the grand scheme of things, this might be clearing out a forest, and who knows what's living in that forest before you can cut it all down. Or maybe it's a mine that you have to bring some ore from the depths, so then the army can create new weapons. And maybe it's just difficult and they need heroes to do that. Who knows? Let's see, what do we got? Clubs. Clubs are what I would call military based. Military things would be fighting a battle, doing some guard duty, stuff like that. Random jobs. I need a heart. Here we go. 4 hearts. Hearts are what I label as relationship-based tasks. Maybe someone needs to be reconciled. You know, that merchant, maybe instead of having to negotiate trade, maybe negotiate being let back into this organization. Or maybe it's something a little less business-based. Maybe it's someone who has lost their child and needs help finding them. Someone loves someone else and needs a love letter delivered. Stuff like that. So that's another thing that I use to help me come up with some jobs on the fly is just go, okay, well, we've got a Jack of Hearts, that's pretty powerful, and a Jack of Spades. So those are pretty high up there, so we can mix them too, especially if they've got the same face on them. And the last option is probably one of the more, well, it's not as vague, I would say, as the deck of cards. These are story dice, and story dice come in a bunch of collections. I've got quite a few, actually. All of these dice have different pictures on each side of them. None of them are the same, and so what you can do is I take 3 at random and go ahead and give them a roll. Alright, so I've got here, I don't think you'll be able to see, but here, I'll hold it up here. I've got an arrow, a volcano, and a path to the mountain. Looks like, yeah, it just looks like a fancy location. Now, there are some things that kind of go together with this roll. So, the mountain and the volcano are both geological formations, and the arrow could mean a few things. An arrow could mean combat, or it could mean going somewhere, like the arrow points, this is where you go. Now, the volcano might just be a literal volcano in this location, or it might be trouble is brewing in the mountains, and it might lead to war. You know, there's an eruption, could be a disturbance, and maybe these mountains aren't mountains at all. Maybe it's just a peaceful location, or a kingdom, or a realm, or something like that. So this, though it could be you need to go to the mountains and find the volcano, it could also mean that peace is going to be disturbed and it might lead to war. So you see that there's differences there. Let's try 3 more. 3 more at random. Here we go. Alright, I've got a television set, I've got a snake, and I've got someone trying to push something. So here's what they look like. Alright, so what could that be? Well, television sets are not fantasy, so if we were doing something D&D styled, then the television set can't mean a literal television set. What do television sets represent? What do they do? Those are some questions that can get our minds racing and take us down some pretty cool avenues. So a television is a form of communication. Maybe we could be talking about crystal balls or something like that. Or maybe it's a predictor. So there's a prediction, or there has been news that has reached us. So that's something to keep in mind here. And snakes. Snakes are creatures. They are literal creatures that could be in a game. They have a sinister background as far as like lore goes, but they also are smart as far as lore goes. And this seems to be a rattlesnake, so maybe there's a warning involved. Or maybe, sneaky. Maybe there's some stealth involved. So let's keep that mindset in our thought process here. And this is someone, it looks like he's pushing against a wall or something. Maybe he's trying to knock something over. So what do we have here? We have something difficult, someone struggling, someone pushing. Maybe they're pushing an agenda. You know, maybe, you know, television can be political, can be full of crafty people. And maybe a crafty person is trying to push their agenda through the means of communication in this town. Maybe there is, maybe there's someone trying to push through the media of this world that there's going to be a snake invasion. You know, there's something like that. On the other hand, maybe the snakes are trying to do something. Maybe the snakes, there's news that the snakes are trying to enter society. Let's see. Maybe there's a prophecy that the snakes are coming and we need to hold them back. Maybe this guy isn't pushing this wall over. Maybe he's trying to hold them back. Maybe he's trying to keep it from falling over. Maybe it's coming his way. Who knows? Want to do 3 more? I love doing this, so let's do 3 more. These I like because they're pictures and they're not like really foreign concepts. I mean, these are pictures as well, but they're more symbols of a vast area of things. And you can combine any of these, by the way. You can take a table and then roll some dice to see a little more into that. Or you might roll some dice and then think, well, how do I get into that? And then just roll on the table. Or maybe you flip a card and you're like, so what kind of work? Like, let's flip over another card. Okay, a Queen of Spades, so a great work. Well, I don't know what a great work would be. Let's roll some dice, some story dice, to see what that great work would be. Alright, well, here's a person counting money. We've got a heart, and we've got a magnifying glass. Okay? So, maybe it's an expensive thing, and maybe that's why it's so grand. Maybe it's a big project that's really expensive. And, by the way, any of these don't have to be something that the players have to deal with. Maybe it's just something going on in their world. So, they enter this town, and the Queen of Spades. So this town is going over major renovations. But why? Well, it's an expensive project, so that gives us an idea. Maybe it's... Okay, so we've got a magnifying glass. Now, a magnifying glass has connotations according to culture. Detectives use magnifying glasses, but also just people who want to see more of what's going on. Maybe it's a researcher. Maybe we can go into our culture, like modern day, and maybe they're searching for something expensively. And the heart could be something romantic. It could be something that someone's just passionate about. Maybe the big upset in town is the king, or maybe the queen, or the duchess, or the duke, are looking for something that is really, really important to them. And they're sparing no expense. And what does that look like? What are they looking for? I don't know. Maybe we should roll some more dice. Here we go. Let's see if we can find out what they're looking for. Alright, we've got a person falling down, and someone carrying something, and a rising sun. So maybe the rising sun, or maybe the setting sun. Maybe the falling and the sun equals the setting sun. The setting sun and the heavy object, maybe there's a fanciful object that has something to do with the setting sun, and it was stolen at one point, because that's what we've got. We've got a person carrying something, someone falling, and the sun. So maybe they're looking for a stolen artifact called the falling sun, and maybe it is an hourglass or something. Something that when it flips, it does something. And maybe we need to make a table of random things that happen when this artifact flips. And you can make a random table of artifacts. I have lists there. What I did is I just wrote a whole bunch of objects and a whole bunch of spells and effects. And whenever you roll the dice, that's what that artifact does. It's pretty basic. And if you really want to go out and you can't afford these necessarily, I would suggest picking up Maze Rats. It's a RPG that used to be pay what you want. Now he's charging like $4 or $5 for it. That's fine. I bought it a couple times. One for pay what I want, which was $0, and then $4 to $5. I can't remember exactly, but all it is an RPG that's based off of tables, and I use that a lot as well. But these are 3 things, 2 that you can have in your household pretty much already, and these story dice, these are the more expensive, and they might actually have more sets that I haven't purchased yet, but these 2 at least are really basic ways to come up with something pretty regularly, and they work. I like these a lot, but they're just something that I bought, and they require me to think a little harder. They've got the symbols on them, so I like pictures on dice. It makes me think. I'm rambling. So if you have any suggestions on how you come up with really cool ideas for your plots, for your side quests, or whatever, leave it in the comment section. And until next time, this is Hogwash, over and out. I will catch you later.